All right. I think we're okay. Hi, Shirley. All right. Let's hope that this stays. It was doing its little let me shut down on you a little bit earlier, which, that's fun. Hi, Shirley. Hope you're all doing good tonight. We'll wait like a minute or two if you want to say hello in the comments before we get started. I don't want to start too early and then people come in late and they miss the parts that they want to see, right? How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, thank you. Shirley says she loves colors. Yes, we are going to make a gorgeous card tonight. I'm super happy with how this one turned out. It's really kind of fun and easy. So that's good. Hi, Penny. Yay, Penny's here. Penny, we're using copper and all the pretty penny colors tonight. All right, so we do have a bundle as always, because you know how much I love mixing, matching, and putting together fun collections of goodies for you guys. You'll find a link to the whole bundle down in the description box, all ready to go for you. We're going to play with some of this circus release. So I got so much of this release, the stamps, everything, and up until today when I made the mock-up for my card, I hadn't even used it yet. So we're going to play with that tonight. We have the Step Right Up stamp set and the coordinating dies. We have the Vintage Circus paper collection, and this is actually the pattern we're going to go ahead and use tonight. So I'm just going to grab that right out of there. Here's a look at all of the different patterns. I love every single one of the patterns in this paper pack. Like, it's so pretty. It was super hard for me to try to figure out what I wanted to use because so many of these are gorgeous. We have some cardstock in Phone Book and Scarlet. I've actually already pre-cut the pieces we're going to need for that to create our card tonight. We have weaving strips. We're going to talk about these weaving strips, how we can use them, what they are, because I think they're a really cool product. And if you think out of the box with them and think about what they are, then they're super versatile and fun. So we're going to use those. There is also one of Christopher Allen's signature collection brushes in tonight's bundle. Love these brushes. Raven Detail ink and aqua pigments in copper shimmer. I have a couple other things from my stash I'm going to pull in as we work through, but for now, that's what's in our bundle. So let's get started. So I have a card base. I think the card bases are in the bundle too. Now I can't remember, but yes, I'm almost positive the card bases are in the bundle too. So we have a card base. We're ready to go. And now we have our gorgeous pattern paper that we're going to work with tonight. There is the product bundle. Hi, Karen. Nice to see you this evening. So I'm going to start with this pattern paper, and I want to start by cutting this at 4 1/4 here. And I want to save this piece. I know it looks like a scrap. We want to save this. And then I'm going to cut this one at 5 1/2. And I'm also going to cut that little scrap piece of paper at 5 1/2 because we are going to go ahead and use both of these pieces. So at the end, when our project is all put together, these are the only scraps of pattern paper we aren't going to use. So that is really fun. Then I have here some 1-inch strips of the Scarlet and the phone book. We're going to take 2 of them and we're going to set them aside with our background here. And we're going to take the weaving strip and I'm going to cut it. I think I'm going to cut it maybe at 6 inches. We're going to do 2 different things with the weaving strip. So I want to cut it in half, but I actually just need a small piece for each of these. So that's all of our cutting that we're going to do tonight. We're going to do a little bit of stamping next. So I am just going to use a scrap of alabaster cardstock that I have here. I am going to grab 2 of the stamps from our stamp set. One is going to be this cute little lion on his ball. The other one is going to be the tiger. So each of these elements, we want them to be kind of facing each other. And I'm going to grab my Misty. Oh, good. Thank you. I thought they were, but I was not 100% sure. All of a sudden, it just like completely, I was like, wait, are they? So yes, there are card bases in the bundle for tonight. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Susan. So nice to see you this evening. All right. So actually, you know what? I'm going to do this a little bit differently. So I want to make sure my white paper, this is just a scrap of alabaster cardstock. I am very big on using all the scraps. I am making sure that this is in the corner of my Misty. That was the part I wanted to make sure of. And there's a reason for that. I'm gonna show you as we go through here and do this. So I'm going to use the Raven Detail ink and I'm going to stamp this a couple of times because I really want it to get nice and crisp and clean images. I want really black images. So I'm going to stamp these a couple times so I get a really good black image with the detail ink. How is everyone doing this evening? Have you had a nice Monday? Has Monday been nice to you? Or have you had a rough Monday and you're here so you can hide for a little bit? I think that's all we need. So I just stamped it twice and I have really nice, crisp, clean images. Now, I'm not going to remove my stamps from my Misty. I'm just going to close the Misty and move it off to the side. I'm also going to take my scrap cardstock, this cardstock that I have stamped my images on, and I'm going to set the images aside because I want to make sure that this ink has the time it needs to dry really well. So I'm just going to set this up off to the side. We'll come back to those. I just want to make sure that that has some time. And now I'm going to forget about my sentiment because I want to make sure I get that too. So I'm going to open my Misty again. So I'm going to take this little weaving strip. So what is a weaving strip? Weaving strip is basically, I want to make sure I get the measurements right on this because I'm pretty sure that I know how big they are. But I want to triple check so that I don't misquote anybody, or I don't. So this is an 11 inches long by 1 inch wide. And what these are is just strips of nice, heavy, thick cardstock. So nice, heavy, thick cardstock in strips. what can we do with this? Well, I don't know about you, but I love the idea of having little strips of paper that I can stamp sentiments on. Little strips of paper that I can tear and ink, and I'm not cutting into a big strip of paper. So anything that you do in your scrapbooking or your card making where you just need a little strip of paper, these are going to be your new best friends in your craft room. I love them. Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you. Jamie says it's been a typical Monday. Is that good or bad, Jamie? I don't know. So I am going to put my little piece of that weaving strip up here in the corner because remember, we still have our little animals down here. We're not moving them at all. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment for the front of my card in here. So up there. And then I can die cut this sentiment. And I have a sentiment that is cut on nice, heavy, gorgeous white cardstock, die cut, and I don't have a lot of waste. I have these little strips and I can just pull them out and use them for these kinds of projects all day long. Look how nice that stamps. So good. Okay. Jamie says it's been a manic Monday. So then I'm going to take this. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to pop it right up here to dry. And then here are the other 3 branding strips that we have. So we have the one up there that we've, remember the one I cut, that I cut at 6 inches. And so I have a 1 by 8.5 strip, 1 by 8.5 strip. And this is like 1 by, I want to say 6. Yeah. So what I want to do with these is I want to make a banner, but I want to make the banner pieces kind of grungy, right? The name of our paper pad, it's Vintage Circus. I don't want clean, crisp circus. I want vintage circus. So I'm going to start with the white one. And I am going to keep this banner super simple. I'm going to make a little crease. Hope you see that. And then I'm going to grab a pair of scissors. I'm going to reach way over here and get my scissors. There we go. I'm just going to cut a little fishtail. And there we go. We have a banner. Now, I don't care that I'm creasing this paper because I'm going to crease it so much more than this. So this little crease is not going to matter at all at the end of the day. But if you really don't want to crease it, you can always eyeball it and cut a fishtail. As well, however you feel comfortable. So now I'm going to take this bottom and I'm going to smush it. Oh, we're going to smush it to death. And then we're going to pull it back out and smooth it out. We're going to take this one and we're going to do the same thing. Smush it to death. This is a great way to get out your Monday anxiety. If you have a little Monday upsetness going on, you need to work off some of your frustrations. Take some of this paper and just smush it. So okay, so there's my 3 banners. Now I'm going to take some Distress Oxide ink and Vintage Photo and these beautiful brushes. If you do not have these brushes yet, oh my goodness, they are like the best brushes ever. seriously the best. So I'm going to flatten this out as best I can, and then I'm just very lightly going to go over the top of the little banner piece. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting the edges really good. I'm going to make sure that the ink is kind of catching all of the beautiful creases that we have put into our paper. And I'm going to do it for all 3 of these pieces. I'll hold this one up so you can see how it looks. And you just need to do the end because we're going to trim them off. Another perfect reason why a branding strip is perfect is the perfect paper to make these banners with, because you could make lots of them just like this, cut them, do it again, cut them, do it again, cut them. You'd have your whole banner with one little strip of paper and no waste. So same thing on the red and on the phone book. Now it'll look different because these are colored cardstocks. So it's just going to add a little bit of color, a little bit of distressing. It's still going to catch all those creases. Make sure you get the edges as well too. There's our red one, and then we'll do our yellow one. Again, that's too much. We're just going to flip this over. I got too much of the ink on my brush and added a little too much pressure. That's not what we're going for. So this is what we don't want. This is what we do want. All right. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some copper. This is Aqua Pigment and Copper Shimmer. Now, I am using Aqua Pigment and Copper Shimmer because I am flicking challenged. If you've watched my lives all the way through, you have seen that I'm flicking challenged, that I'm not good with the little aqua splashes. I think they're amazing, but I can't use them. I'm flicking challenged. So I'm going to use my Copper Shimmer Aqua Pigment, and I'm going to use my little paintbrush, and I'm going to splatter the way I know how to splatter, the way that works for me. So we're just going to add some of this gorgeous metallic shimmer to the tips of our little banner pieces. We're going to let those set off to the side to dry. And while we have the copper shimmer out, I am also going to go ahead and I am going to add some copper shimmer to the 2 other strips of cardstock and to our card fronts, sort of, because we're going to have fun with our card today. We're not making like a typical card. We're going to add some extra to it. A little bit of extra. Okay, so just a little more of that shimmer. And then, yeah, I'll just use this. That works. That's going to give us little shimmery dots of goodness everywhere. If you are not flicking challenged, then you can use the Penny Aqua Splash. I am flicking challenged. Most definitely. just going to splatter this everywhere. It's a nice little tapping sound, at least. Okay, that's good. All right, now we're going to set these all aside to dry, which doesn't take very long. It's a pretty quick process of drying. But look at that. So pretty. Everyone's so quiet tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the comments. If you haven't said hello yet, come say hello. I'm so happy you're all here. Okay, I'm just going to wipe this up. And then we're going to come back to these little lovely pieces. So I wanted to show you how you could use a stamp like this without coloring it. Now, I love to color. I love to get my zigs out. I love to color. But coloring is not for everyone. And I also recognize that. So the idea behind the card and all this is that we're doing a vintage kind of card tonight. And I thought, well, what is vintage? You know, and when you have vintage, you have black and white kind of photographs or sepia type photographs, right? Which aren't colored. They're not bright. They're not bold. They're pretty much brown. So let's do that with our stamped images. Instead of coloring them in all the bright colors, let's color them as though they are a sepia vintage kind of an image. So I'm going to go ahead and take that same brush. I'm going to pounce off a little bit this time because I don't want to come in with a lot of color. I just want to come in with a little bit. And I'm going to go through. Now I have the coordinating dies. The coordinating dies are in the bundle. So we're going to be able to die cut these, which is going to help us with that sepia. But we're just going to get some color over both of these images. Just a light amount. You can, depending on how good you are with a blending brush, you can, make some areas lighter or some areas darker. I am going to use just a little bit of color just to add that look of sepia to my images. So when you do this, when you add the ink over your sepia images, you're going to kind of dull that ink, the black ink that we've used to stamp with. Because the oxide ink is going to go right over it. Which is why I left the stamps in my MISTI. And it's also why I said make sure to put your images in, or your cardstock that you started with up into the corner. Because now that we've kind of colored these images in, we're going to make sure I've got the placement right, and I do. Just make sure nothing shifted. You don't want anything to move or shift. Now I'm going to take that detail ink again. I'm going to ink up my images, and I'm going to stamp them again, and that's going to bring them back to that original bold, crisp black color. which is what we want. We want that bold, crisp black color. And then you can do the same thing with your sentiment piece. Before you die cut, go ahead and go over it with the vintage photo ink or whatever light brown sepia type of ink that you have or like or use. And then for that, after you have applied the ink with your brush, you can just come back in, pop it right up in there and stamp it again. So you have a really deep, crisp black image. And then you can die cut them. I've already done that for you so that I didn't have to get out my die cut machine and make all kinds of noise. Magic of TV, we have our die cut images already. So once we have our die cut images and we're good, I do like the look of coming around again with a little bit more of the brown ink, just the edges. So just catch the edges with your ink. That'll just give it a nice finished edge. And then when we add them to our card, we'll have a nice finished edge. This is such a great way to keep to the mood of a card if you're doing a card that needs a more vintage kind of look. And this is also a nice way to ink or add some color to your stamped images if you're not a colorist necessarily. You could also do this in colors too. I mean, if you're doing a card that is, you know, pink and you're using flowers, this would be a great way to do a flower, or leaves would work really well too with this. Then you just ink them up with the green. Okay, so there is our 3 images for the front of our card. And then we'll take these pieces that are now dry, and I'm just gonna trim them off. I am going to trim them at different lengths. I don't want them all to be the same lengths because I want to be able to layer them up on top of each other. And that's going to give our card a little bit of texture. Okay, so we have all of our different elements. Everything is colored up and ready to go. So let's work with our card base now. So for our card base, we're going to start with the front of the card, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere the first part, this half, to the front of my card, just as it is. And I'm going to use some wet glue so we get good adhesion. Let me go ahead and line this up with my fold. Very good. All right. So there's our card. And now I'm going to tear the edge of it off. Just like this. Yep, I just did that. And we're going to take this little piece and we're going to tear it too. I love to tear paper, you guys. I hope you don't mind terribly. I'm a paper tearer. And then we're going to tear this one. And we're going to tear this one too. Okay. I'm going to grab my little peanut mat here, and I'm just going to get all of the ink off of my table, off my glass mat, because I don't want that ink to smudge or spread or go into any other parts of our card. We're done with that. All right, so I'm going to open this card up now, and I'm going to take some more of this copper shimmer, and hold on just a minute. Because I'm going to grab one of my pigment palettes. I'm going to use just this little area right over here that doesn't have anything on it. And this is just going to be easier for me to clean up later, instead of putting it right on my glass mat. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. So this is just that copper shimmer. And we're going to take it and we're going to paint along all the edges that we just got done tearing. I'm going to take my little brush and I'm just going along the edge. You don't have to be like some kind of magnificent painter to do this. You can just, you just kind of smoosh it down. It's going to dry pretty quickly. The other one I did dried really quickly, so I'm hopeful this one will too. I'm going to set it aside, and then I'm going to grab the torn edge of this one, and we're going to paint that one too. Just like this. And then we're going to take these two and we're going to paint down the torn edges on this one as well. We're going to need some more paint first. Everyone is so quiet. My goodness. This might be the quietest. I mean, and we have 12 people watching. So, I mean, that must mean I'm describing what I'm doing really well, so you don't have any questions. Or you're just in awe that I just tore all that paper. You're not quite sure how to think about that. You're going to love it at the end, I promise. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. Then we're going to take this piece. We're going to add the copper to that torn edge as well. Yes, that's right. My large dog's decided that he needs to be in this room right now and he must drink a gallon of water. I don't understand it all. Andre likes to be live. If he can find a way to be a part of my lives on Monday, he will always find a way. My little Doxy's as quiet as can be, but the big pit bull's like, I want to be on live TV too. Hi, Heather. I'm so glad you're here. You made it. Yay. All right. Paintbrush aside, palette aside. Okay, now for real, we're going to put the card together. So we have our torn edge here. Now, on the inside of the card, we're going to start with that patterned paper. And I'm going to do this again. Last week, everyone was in awe of my ability to glue down stuff while it was still wet and not dry. And we're going to do it again because this is where we are. All right. So we're going to start with a piece of pattern paper. And I'm going to fit it in to the inside of the card. So this specific card is pretty on the outside. It's also pretty on the inside. So I'm just going to smoosh that torn edge a little bit. That's just going to add a little bit of extra. It's going to kind of roll up that torn edge and then it will dry and it'll have a little bit of extra texture, but it won't be bulky. I hope that makes sense. Like it's going to have the texture, but it's not going to be bulky. So the card will still close perfectly fine. Then I'm going to take the red and I'm going to go ahead and tuck it right underneath the pattern paper, just a little bit. Lift it up. Tuck the red in right underneath. There we go. You can do it. Little red paper. And then push that down. And then I'm going to pull the edge of the red up so I can tuck in our yellow. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that in underneath. And then we're just going to push this all down. Just like that. So then we can flip this over and we can go ahead and just cut off the edges. And now we have a card that has a fun front and a fun inside too. And because we used the same 6x6 pattern paper and because of the way that we cut it, the design actually flows through. Like you can tell that this goes with this and these are the same scenes. Okay. So for the front of the card, we're going to start with our little banner pieces. And we're going to do them up here. And we're going to let them kind of overlap. I don't want them to look like you see the banner here where they're all spaced out. Just perfect. I don't want that. I want something that looks a little vintagey, a little old. I want it to be kind of closer together and bunched up a little bit up here. if I'm going to do the yellow. And I'm lining this all up with the top. I'm just going to hold that here for a second. Thank you. Heather says that is so cool. Heather is like me. We both have a vintage loving heart. So now we can put in our little animals and our little sentiment in the middle. And because of the way that we have designed this card with this torn edge, our little lion, he can pop into the off the edge a little bit, and it's not going to hurt anything. Or we can squeeze them all in. It doesn't matter. You've got plenty of room here to add both of the elements, and I'm going to let his little tail stick out, but you don't have to. And I think that this card really kind of encapsulates the cool, like, vintage circus vibe that this entire collection has. All of the elements for the little vintage circus are so, so cute. And we have a little bit of that sparkle and shine as well. So we're going to put our little lion on one end, and I'm going to add the little tiger on the other. And then put this little piece in the middle. So I chose the sentiment, come one, come all, because I thought that this particular card would make a cute invitation. And so I thought that on the inside, there's just enough room here. You could put what, where, when, what time, what you're doing, and have a little kind of invitation. So we're finished early. Does anyone have any questions, comments, anything at all? Anything you think you would like me to explain a little bit more? I'll give you a close-up at all this gorgeousness. So cute. And then how we open it up, and we have the same colors on the inside that mimic those fun banners. We distress them the same way. I just love those banners. I think the banners might be my favorite part. They look so like cool and old and grubby. So there is tonight's card. Don't forget, down in the description box, you will find a link to tonight's bundle, which is always on sale when I do my lives. And everything that I've used, everything is in the bundle. So you can get the bundle and you can create this exact card perfectly. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Heather. I love this one. I think this turned out so fun and so vintage. Yeah, Heather said it. This is so vintage. I am actually a vintage girl at heart. And so this card was like, I loved making it. I think it's gorgeous. This is like all me. Karen said she loves it. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you again. So I'll see you again live in 2 weeks. I have a fun, fun, fun project planned for you for this coming Monday, but I actually will be visiting my family. So I'm going to like live record a project for you. So you're not going to miss it. You're still going to get a lovely project and a lovely tutorial for Monday night. But I hope you all have a fabulous, fabulous evening, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.